Now then, a video recommended to us by the one and only Aleko. The only reason to learn Russian. Alright. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
You try reading Dostoevsky, but you end up a mind-broken fool. Many such cases. Today we're covering everything you need to know about Russian so you never feel out of place again. Cyrillic is a bit of a misnomer because St. Cyril didn't invent it. His actual contribution is Glagolitic, which is an entirely original alphabet, albeit it was too difficult to write and copy quickly. The solution was brought about by his students in the Preslav Literary School. They took Greek, they added a bunch of letters to represent the sounds it was missing, and they named it after St. Cyril. But this still looks different from modern Cyrillic.
Oh. No, I didn't know that. Well, that's pretty cool.
How do we get that? Peter the Great. The man was completely unstoppable and practically the greatest reformer any country had ever seen. He changed civil administration, religious law, and society as a whole to the point where he'd come cut your beard off personally or force you to pay up. He would initiate and oversee a reform that would give the nation its own civic script. If it was redundant, it was done away with. The decree was only a formality because these letters weren't really used much at that point anyway. Finally, in the beginning of the 20th century, a few leftover letters would be purged, giving us today's modern Russian Cyrillic, now redundancy-free.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that it was written out like that. That's actually a pretty good history lesson. Oh hey there, Slash Jackbag. Hey there, come on in. Welcome aboard. Alright. Yeah, and of course Aleko, of course. And Slash Jackback, yeah, watching a video recommended by Aleko, a longtime supporter of this channel so far. Yeah, we're learning about the history of learning the Russian language. Pretty good, pretty interesting so far.
Bonus round. This letter was used in one book of Psalms in the 15th century, and for whatever reason, it was turned into an ASCII character. Biblically accurate Russian letters, I guess. Good news, Russian has dialects, but most people today speak the standardized language. Bad news, nailing Russian pronunciation is like assembling IKEA furniture without a manual. Everyone tries it, nobody does it well, and you always end up pacing your living room going, oi, 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 oi. There's 10 vowel letters. 5 of them are hard vowel sounds, and 5 of them are soft vowel sounds. Why are we establishing this distinction? In Russian, consonants are basically held hostage by the vowels. If one is standing next to an a, it sounds normal to us, but when followed by ya, it's forced to sound soft. It's palatalized. Mat, met. The way I think about it...
Oh, that I didn't know about the Russian language. So written out like this, so you pronounce it mat, but then...
Met.
Oh. Okay, that's nifty. I didn't know that.
The way I think about it, though my pronunciation isn't perfect, imagine you're trying to say the consonant and the y sound that y makes at the same time. And if you want this effect, but you don't have a vowel handy, it's okay. There's the soft sign and the hard sign. But this isn't universal. Some consonants are always hard, some are always soft, and the vast majority of them can be either. Oh, but hold your horses, we're not done yet. Russian has vowel reduction like English, the most recognizable example being
Moskva.
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 But that's not all.
Moskva.
As a newbie, you're gonna have to memorize 3 things at once. The spelling, the reduced pronunciation, and the stress. The stress? Yes,
stress?
Russian stress is mobile, which is a fancy way of saying it's completely unpredictable. Voda. Vody. You might think, who cares if I get it wrong? They'll know what I mean. In Russian, pisать means to write, but pisyat means to urinate. Imagine you're at a bar in Moscow. You've successfully language mocked your way through a conversation. You hand her your unlocked iPhone to get her number. You want to confidently tell her to write it down.
Oh no.
That's the way you actually said.
Oh,
Speaking
no.
of phones and the importance of stress, it's a widespread cultural phenomena that Russians will refuse to associate with someone who says zvonit as opposed to zvanit. So stress is incredibly important. Don't get it wrong. Vowels aren't the only letters that change based on placement. At the end of a word, a voiced consonant devoices. Druk, zup. Inside a consonant cluster, the letter to the right decides. It forces the one before it to match its exact state. If the right side letter is voiceless, the
that sounds like
previous
a lot
letter
of
becomes
rules.
voiceless with it. Vodka. If it's voiced, the previous letter becomes voiced. Сделать. Oh boy, that Russian sure is easy, huh? Please like and subscribe. That's how you support the channel. Cases might seem like they're these face-meltingly, mind-breakingly difficult things, but that's only because you've probably had them explained to you through the lens of that horrible linguistic mumbo-jumbo. Ugh, get it away from me. The relationships between words in Russian are not decided by word order, but
Relies on grammatical case prepositions of secondary? Uh-oh. That sounds really difficult.
instead by case endings. Here's all 6 of them in one sentence. Broly показал Кокороту истинную суть ужаса видением поражений. Nominative marks who or what is the main focus of this sentence. In our case, Broly. Dative marks to whom or for whom an action is being directed. Accusative identifies who or what directly receives the action. In this case, Broly is showing the essence to Goku. But it's the essence of horror, right? Which means it needs to go in the genitive case, which shows ownership. No different from apostrophe S in English. Instrumental explains the tool, method, or companion used to accomplish an action.
That's a lot of
In our
rules there. That's a
case,
lot of
vision.
rules.
Prepositional is used exclusively after certain prepositions to describe a physical location or what you're talking and thinking about. The concept of case is easy to wrap your head around. The difficulty comes from gendered nouns. Russian has 3 genders: мужской род, женский род и атомное ядро. Атомное ядро? Нет! There are a lot of declension patterns, and you need to know all of them. As many of my Russian viewers pointed out in my last video, Russian numerals are one of the best examples of the complexity of this whole thing. Russian numbers make nouns change case. With 1, the noun stays in the nominative singular. With 2 through 4, it usually takes the form of the genitive singular, and with 5 and above, it usually takes the form of the genitive plural. Do you know your animacy status? In Russian, nouns are split into groups of animate, like family members, snowmen, dolls, and the deceased, or inanimate, like chairs, bacteria, trees, and the deceased.
Oh my gosh, that is a lot to keep track of there. I sometimes think about maybe passively learning Russian, but then I see videos like this and how many rules a language has. It was already hard enough to learn the rules of counting in Japanese. Now in Russian, I would need to differentiate between animate and inanimate objects. Sounds like it'd be a fun challenge, though.
It also affects cases.
Oh, wow.
A key feature of the Russian verb is the aspect. Italian, for example, marks aspect, but only in the past tense. Russian, on the other hand, categorizes all verbs as inherently perfective or imperfective, finished or ongoing. Many important verbs come in pairs of both aspects, because verbs are then further conjugated for tenses, persons, and sometimes gender. Speaking of going places, to go anywhere in Russian, you need to think about how. Is this a one-way trip, or are you trudging back and forth? Is this your grand one-time expedition, or something you do every year? After you heard all of that, you're probably thinking to yourself, Russian is so precise and particular, and you couldn't be more right. Even commas are written based on concrete rule sets. Style and pause are completely irrelevant.
Oh my gosh.
This is a very explosive area of conversation, and I will handle it with incredible caution as to not give you the magic words necessary to get yourself on Fyodor Emelianenko's bad side. However, I did say I'd teach you everything. To summon Russian Exodia, you must gather the 5 forbidden pieces. The pillar of masculinity, the feline of femininity, the act, the lady of the night, and the ultimate collateral damage, someone else's mother. I know what you're thinking right now.
I get it.
Are they really that few? Yes, they are, but Russian profanity is additive. Let's look at an example using the symbol of masculinity. Depending on what you snap in front of it, it either means you're completely shocked, absolutely apathetic, or enjoying a succulent meal. Bleh is my personal favorite. You don't attach anything to it. You just treat it like punctuation. And I want to make sure you understand me when I tell you, you don't use these words with people you don't know, and you never bring up somebody's mother, because that's how you get sent to the Shadow Realm after Yevgeny challenges you to a duel.
Yeah, that's very true. I've heard about that. Yeah, really, no matter where you are, you should only ever use that kind of language of people that, you know, that you're friends who understand that you're joking. You should never say something like that to a stranger. And I'm not sure the intensity of the word, you know, bliat, but, you know, I've heard that used a lot, and my Oshi Smugalana, she uses it pretty often. How intense of a word is it? Is it just like an ordinary swear, or is it like a slur I should try to avoid saying? I am not sure. Yeah, swearing can be fun, you know, and you know, I do think it's fun to learn how to swear in other languages. It's just pretty fun sometimes.
Cool. Imagine learning all of that just to watch Russian brain rot all day. 42, bratucha. Russian literature has a prestigious reputation, but I bet the first image you're getting in your mind is a heavy 1,000-page book full of moral grandstanding, brooding characters, and an obligatory, depressing ending. It was great for its time, but now we got better ones, don't we? Wrong! We gotta stop acting like Dostoevsky's the only Russian author ever. There's a saying, Russian literature came out of Gogol's overcoat. He has some of the most innovative prose and storytelling, and you've never heard of him, have you? He literally inspired Kafka! Forget Gregor Samsa waking up as monstrous vermin. Major Kovalyov wakes up without his nose, which he finds casually walking around downtown St. Petersburg in a uniform. Kovalyov is too afraid to directly ask his nose to return to his face because it outranks him. Then he ends up struggling against an indifferent society and bureaucratic hell until the nose nose is finally brought back to him after getting
Okay, I need to check out the nose sometime. That sounds crazy. Being too afraid to tell your own nose to return to your face because your nose is wearing a higher ranking uniform? Talk about being precise about even rankings. Gosh, to even not even tell your own nose off, dude. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
arrested trying to flee St. Petersburg on a forged passport. The only reason the nose was caught in the first place was because the officer at the border put his glasses on and realized he wasn't looking at a government official, but a giant nose. Speaking of bureaucracy, Chichikov is an ex-government clerk who managed to come up with a cunning scheme. In Imperial Russia, wealthy landowners owned serfs who were legally tied to the land. For tax purposes, the government counted these serfs in a census every few years. What it didn't do is check if the souls are alive before the next census, and so the owner still had to pay taxes on them as if they were living. Chichikov wants to amass a massive portfolio of thousands of dead souls and use them as collateral for a massive loan he will not be paying.
Yeah, that is decidedly very unique, but not in a bad way. I think it sounds pretty good. I've read quite a lot of Russian literature, you know, including Dostoevsky. You know, I absolutely love his works. But I do think I may check out The Nose sometime, if only for the unique premise. That does sound pretty good. Yeah, the Russian language is fascinating.
Back. On this little undertaking, he has the misfortune of running into some of the most portly people this side of the Neva River. We have a pillar of the aristocracy in a man like Manilov, who spends his days in idle fantasy. He's overly polite and totally indifferent to the morality or even legality of Chichikov's little operation. He signs the souls over without asking for anything in return, even wrapping the deed with a nice little ribbon. How thoughtful is he? The next personality he runs into is the widow Korobochka. She has no qualms about selling dead people, but she is concerned about getting ripped off. They argue for hours about whether there could be a sudden spike in the market price for the dead. She only agrees to the sale after Chichikov promises to buy her large sometime in the future. Speaking of ripoff, Nozdrov is a drunkard, a gambler, and an utter psychopath who tries to force our protagonist to buy all sorts of useless things from him, including, but not limited to, a blind horse, until he offers they gamble for the souls in a game of checkers. He then proceeds to immediately, blatantly cheat at the game, is caught, and then tells his servants to attack Chichikov, who is forced to flee for his life.
Naturally, as one does. I'm like, Stanford! Stanford's knocking everything over, oh my gosh. Oh. Sorry about that, my god. Stanford just knocked something over. That little stinker. Oh wow, really? Dude, okay. that is an interesting fact of Leiko. Wow. Yeah, so far this story talking about sounds very interesting.
From haggling with a sly aristocrat who knows exactly what he's doing, to Chichikov becoming suspected of being an imperial spy or even the escaped Napoleon Bonaparte, he ends up having to skip town. A town that is rapidly degenerating into an insane frenzy. If you've never heard of these books before, start referencing them on a daily basis. When you get called out, reluctantly confess that you've actually been reading Russian literature for many years, but you're deeply embarrassed to admit it. If they start asking too many questions, start declining nouns. Tolstoy has a wonderful cautionary tale about a man who can't control his urges. It has two endings, and both of them are very bad and not really suitable for YouTube. Although he appears normal on the outside, his lust is driving him completely mad. He doesn't share his problems with anybody, and he continuously externalizes them, blaming the peasant girl he's infatuated with for everything he feels. And then everyone lives happily ever after. No, something really bad happens. Depends on which ending you read. It varies between really, really bad to just sad. Oddly relevant to modern society. And speaking of poignant in the current day, we have Dostoevsky's Notes from the Underground, a book that has made me reconsider my...
Or another one. Trying to think of the name of it. What was the name of it? Yeah. Another one from Tolstoy, Anna Karenina, right? Yeah, that one I read. That one's also pretty depressing too, especially if you know how it ends, right? Yeah, these Russian authors don't play around, do they? Their stories are a big old punch in many different ways.
Life. You almost can't believe this wasn't written yesterday. It feels like a criticism of the type of hyper-ironic, totally, quote-unquote, logical thinker. These isolated, terminally online people who think they have the whole world figured out. Then you look at their life and it's just miserable. Paralysis by over-analysis. This one you have to read right now. It's so good I can't put it into words, and my whole life has been dedicated to communicating things to other people, okay? I talk about what I want to talk about all the time. I don't know how to describe this because you need to experience it for yourself. It's impossible not to draw parallels.
Sometimes that's the best way to learn, just experience for yourself rather than take other people's words for it. Yeah, I read Anna Karenina for high school, I think. Yeah. It was like a high school assignment. We had to pick a book to read and write an essay about it. Yeah, that was way back in the day.
Between the Bronze Horseman and Don Juan, which interestingly enough, Pushkin himself has adapted. But unlike Don Juan, which is about a scoundrel who lives a debaucherous life and is dragged off to hell by a statue of the man he kills, this poem is very different. It's instead an inversion of the original story in which an innocent man is utterly destroyed by a bronze statue of Peter the Great. That's supposed to function as more of a metaphor because the real destruction in his life comes from the flooding of the river Niva. But none of that would have happened if Peter the Great hadn't built his capital atop a literal swamp that was known to flood. But as with all poems, the magic is in the verse, so if you want to know how good it is, you're gonna have to read it for yourself. In the original language, of course. You wouldn't read the Divine Comedy in English, I hope. The main reason for making this video was to A, give people an understanding of how the Russian language actually works, like in depth, as much as one can cover in 12 minutes or so, and B, the greatest reason to learn Russian, which is the amazing literature. Sure, there's revolutionary animation and some incredible music, but those are pretty easy to find. Good books? Those get recommended to you directly by crazy language guys on YouTube. Either way, I've been your host, Plasticine Heart. See you in 2 weeks when I make the Italian video. Like, subscribe, and donate $1 trillion to me so I could buy myself a country and become a brutal czar.
Or you could donate me $1 trillion instead. Oh, that's a short but sweet little video there, Leiko. Thanks for recommending that here. Alright, let me link y'all in chat here. Yeah, I'll take a look at Pushkin sometime. I am always looking for new things to read. I don't know about reading it in Russian. You know, it was hard enough to learn Japanese, but I don't know. I'm slowly learning how to read Cyrillic from all the GeoGuessr we've been playing. Yeah, I've played GeoGuessr for many months now, and I am hoping to, you know, be able to read Cyrillic right off the bat soon. Some signs I still need to, like, you know, throw into a keyboard to see how it works. But yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely take a look at that off stream at Leiko. That does sound pretty fun. Well, today was a really fun stream, guys. Today was really fun.